It is my pleasure to introduce Stephanie Arnheim, and she is going to have the honor of introducing our spotlight speaker for December, David George Brooke. Stephanie Arnheim is the founder of Stephanie Connects, Portland's networking expert. She's a former eWomen executive managing director of the Portland chapter and a valued member of our Exceptional Connections Vancouver community. So take it away, Stephanie.
Thank you, Cindy. We're excited that David Brooke is our December spotlight speaker. David George Brooke, that gratitude guy, has been a speaker, coach, and best-selling author for over 25 years. He's a former Nordstrom manager and has managed in the corporate world for over 30 years. His published works include That Gratitude Guy's Daily Gratitude Journal, Monday Morning Minutes, 100 Messages of Gratitude, 6-Word Lessons to Embrace Gratitude, and a number of other books on gratitude. With over 1,500 gratitude videos posted on YouTube, David has reached millions of people with his message and is now considered an expert on how gratitude can enhance and improve your life. He resides here in Seattle, Washington. In David's 20-minute talk, he will share maximizing your gratitude attitude. Be prepared to look at your life differently. Join me in welcoming David Brooke and to share with us today. And also I remind him to start your speaker timer. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Cindy. And thank you everybody for joining us today here. It was quite an interesting and really thought-provoking bunch of people that do a lot of cool things. So as you've heard several times, this is called maximizing your gratitude attitude. And gratitude, I find, is one of the key things that's really kind of changed, in many cases, saved my life. I will ask you right up front to have a piece of paper or a pad of paper and a pen and your smartphone handy, if you will. If you've got just a piece of paper, that's fine. You may want a pad, but that's just fine because we're going to do something here in just a second. So part of my journey was that a lot of bad things happened to me in my life when I was younger. And my parents died when I was relatively young. My wife unfortunately passed away when my sons were 4 and 14, and had just a number of other traumatic events that really changed and the whole trajectory of my life. And as a result of that, at some point, I thought I'm going to have to get something that's going to help me. That's going to give me some sort of support along this journey, because it was pretty challenging from time to time. And with all that loss and the different things along the way, I found gratitude. But I will say, before I even get into gratitude, it starts with how you look at things, how you see things. You've heard the glass half full, half empty. We've heard that many, many times. But a lot of times it's something that I come back to people when I coach people. It's your choice. Every day you can decide to get out of your bed on the left side or the right side, be in an up mood or a down mood, positive, negative, grateful, ungrateful. It's your choice. Nobody gets into your brain and wires your brain and flips the switches outside of you. So, but how you look at something is so important. I live in Bellevue now, but I used to live in Seattle, and there was a foot race from Medina to Husky Stadium. It was a 6K or 10K, 6.2 miles. And I was running this race years ago. I was running across the floating bridge. And as I got towards the upper high rise where those fountains were at one time, I looked in front of me and there was quite a few people. Then I looked behind me and there were thousands of people behind me. And in front of me, I thought, man, I'm really struggling. But then I turned around, I looked at the people behind me, and I thought there were so many stretching all the way back to the toll plaza. And then as I look back forward again, I go, you know what? Here's what's interesting. If all these people in front of me weren't here today, I would be in first place. I mean, what if all of them had just not decided to come that day? And guess who's out front? So it all depends on how you want to look at something. And it makes such a big difference. So let's get to the first exercise. Go to your piece of paper. And what I want you to write is somewhere in the upper left-hand corner, these two words, you are, Y-O-U-A-R-E. You are, just somewhere in the upper left-hand corner of that piece of paper. And then what I want you to envision, I'm going to give you about 45 seconds for this. For the next 45 seconds or so, I want you to pretend that you are your biggest cheerleader, whoever it is, your husband, your wife, your best friend, your mom, your dad, your kids, whoever thinks you're the cat's meow on this earth. I want you to be that person for about 45 seconds. And during that 45 seconds, I want you to write all the ways your biggest cheerleader would describe you. You are talented. You are creative. You are funny. However they see you, 45 seconds, write as many words as you can, go. Okay, and stop. And I'm sure you could write many more words, but I got to keep things moving along here. So it took you 30 to 40 seconds to write down those maybe 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 characteristics that biggest cheerleader would describe you by. Now I want you to go back and reread the list. It'll take you about 3 or 4 seconds to read those descriptors of you. And with a high five to the screen, how many people feel better about themselves after reading that list? Give me a high five if you feel better about reading after hearing that and seeing that. Perfect. Thank you. Hold on.
That was easy.
Yes, it was. That's how fast something like gratitude can change your life. Because somebody said to me, they come up to a talk one day, why do you do the you are, all the good things? Why don't you tell them to bring up your negatives? I said, what is this, the negative Nelly hour? I'm the freaking gratitude guy here. I'm not going to talk about your shortcomings. Gosh, but that's what happens when you spend every day, and we'll talk about a gratitude journal in a second. That's where that quote comes from that I gave Cindy. If you think about it, it's like a dream. If you talk about it, it inspires you. But if you write about it, it empowers you. Here's this gratitude journal. That thing is a little bit squirrely there. I'll put a link in the chat for the gratitude journal. But that's what makes such a big difference. But gratitude tip, if you have a little card like this, you know, I shouldn't even have the thing. I've got a little 3x5 card. Put those descriptors there. Cindy has one. Put those, write those down on that card. Put it on your bulletin board, your refrigerator, your mirror, somewhere where you can see it every day. Because I will tell you, when you're not having a good day, you go look at that list of how somebody saw you. It'll change your focus. It'll get you focused a lot more of your things you're grateful for and not worry about the things you're not grateful for. And it is interesting though, too, because I tried this exercise. I do it from junior highs to senior centers. And I have them in person. I have the 3x5 cards with me and they fill them out and so forth. And I went up to a kid one day at junior high and I noticed this wasn't working out too well. He shows me his card and he had paired up with another guy and he says, "You are an idiot." And I go, "No, this is not negative. This is positive. We're supposed to focus on all your blessings." So, but it's so very important. And why we are so hard on ourselves, I will never, ever understand. I used to call myself a word. I won't even say the word to you, but I can spell it for you. For a lot of my life, I called myself an LOSER. And then one day it hit me and I thought, what are you doing? If you don't advocate for yourself, who's going to advocate for you? So important that you have a great relationship and getting a gratitude mindset, writing in a gratitude journal every day, focusing on all your blessings and your abundance will do a great job of increasing that relationship you have with that person in the mirror, which I think is maybe your most important one of all. Harnessing gratitude's power. How do we hook up to gratitude? Everybody knows that 2 people go into hospital with the same disease. The positive attitude lives, the negative attitude dies. They've talked about it for years and years and years. Years ago, I learned how to fly down at Boeing Field. I had a number of instructors. And when I went to this instructor this one day, his name was Jay Diddy. And he says to me, "We're going to do a talk today about, or a lesson today about flying in the clouds, instrument flight rules." And I had this plane. We get up in this plane and he shows me, "You're going to get all confused." And he said this word, I'll never forget it, like 30 years ago. He says, "You're going to be grateful that you listened to me today." And it just stuck with me and it resonated forever. And he says, "Always believe your instruments." That's the message for today. Always believe your instruments. I don't care what your head says, your heart says, your stomach says, anything else. Always believe your instruments. So sure enough, about 6 months later, I'm flying along in my airplane with a couple of friends of mine and I'm not paying attention. And we get into a storm and all of a sudden the plane turns about a 60-degree bank turn to the right. I think I'm straight and level. I've got a major case of vertigo. And as the plane keeps going further and further over, that's what happened to John Kennedy Jr., by the way. I turned on the heading bug and the plane straightened out and it got straight and level. I pulled up through the clouds and it essentially saved my life. And he had told me, because at that point, I thought I was upside down. That's how confused I had. But there's a case where I think gratitude kind of saved my life. And the gratitude tip for you about harnessing gratitude, everybody knows how important it is to get exercise. Try to get some exercise every single day. I do 8 to 10 miles every day. And I listen to podcasts and I listen to ones I've recorded and I listen to Audible books. But more importantly, you focus on a different gratitude focus every single day. Could be your health. I noticed there were some people talking about what they were grateful for in the chat. Could be your family. It could be your friends. It could be all these different things, especially around this time of year with Thanksgiving and Christmas. So very important. So do a gratitude walk every day and have that be kind of your focus, and then add the little tidbit about gratitude for the day. The science of gratitude. This is not a bunch of woo-woo science that we're just talking about here. I've done a lot of research and looked into studies and different research topics that have been on gratitude and what it's done. So I'm going to read to you some of the things that they found out about gratitude. And it's a little bit, it's not too long, but I'm going to read it kind of fast, but it was really fascinating. Appreciating what we have measurably improves our relationships, our life satisfaction, our health, our sleep, and it improves our physical health, leading to fewer aches and pains, lower blood pressure, and less depression. Grateful people are more likely to take care of their health, exercise more often, and schedule regular checkups. Gratitude reduces toxic emotions like envy, resentment, frustration, anger, and aggression, and enhances positive emotions like empathy, caring, and sympathy. Too much of our time is spent pursuing things we currently don't have. Gosh, that's true. Gratitude reverses that and realigns our priorities to appreciate what we currently have. Happiness is rarely constant. So although happiness is a fantastic goal, gratitude for the tools that get you there are more important. How easily we can lose sight of everything we have to be thankful for when the circumstances of life become unpleasant. Think about the last year and a half. And lastly, we're our own worst critics and we hold ourselves to impossible standards and we continually compare ourselves to other people. Good Lord, writing in a gratitude journal will stop that. He has a bigger boat, better house, better car, better wife, better husband, makes more money. It's just ridiculous. Science says that the more you choose positive and kind words to describe yourself, your health, your body, and your progress, the less anxiety you will fear. So will appear to have. And so it's so very important. So let's go and do another exercise on this. I'm going to give you about 45 seconds on this one. And this is it's going to feel like a big exercise, but there's a little bit of homework involved in this too. So what I want you to do right now, let me put 45 seconds on the clock. And I want you to write down as many as you can in 45 seconds, the most memorable events of your life. Could be personal, could be professional, could be your family, kids, trips, vacations, whatever. Write as many things you can in the order of the most important, most memorable events in your life. 45 seconds, go. Okay, and stop. So this is going to involve a little bit of homework. So what I'd like you to do is, first of all, before you even know what the homework is, I'd like to get a high five to the screen. If everybody promises me at Exceptional Connections, they'll do the homework. I need to see every single high five. I can see, look at this. Cindy, this is incredible. Every single person's a high five. They don't even know what the assignment is yet. That's how you can tell a good friend, because a good friend says, I need a favor. A good friend says, sure. A marginal friend says, what is it? So it all depends. So what I want you to do is a week from today is December 14th, Tuesday. I want you to, what you just promised me is that a week from today, which is Tuesday, December 21st, I want you to promise me that you will convert that list to one of three things: a top 25 list, a top 50, or a top 100. Whichever you want to do. If you can't think of that many things, 25 is fine, but I want you to convert it to a list of 25, 50, or 100, and then put it in order of the most memorable events. So the gratitude tip is put it on an Excel spreadsheet or a Word doc or something like where you can shift it around. And I will tell you, I have a map in my office here that had the world. And I started thinking one day about 6 months ago, I've never been to Greece. I haven't been to France. And all of a sudden I went, what are you doing? Why are you focusing on all the things you haven't done? And I realized I had my own airplane. I was a national champion hydroplane driver. I've spoken to 10,000 soldiers. I've done all these things. It was the wrong focus. So you type that up, make it the top 25, top 50, or top 100. Keep it handy. Again, print it up or put it on your desktop electronically or a bulletin board. Again, you have a day, things aren't going well. You start looking at all the most memorable events in your life. it'll change your focus. And that's what we really want to do. Because when we're feeling great, it's fantastic. What I really want to help you with is on those days when you don't have that greater relationship with yourself or things aren't going that well, what are some tools and tips and tricks and things we can do to get our mind back in the right direction? So next thing, the centerpiece of everything I talk about is this gratitude journal. I should have put my other back screen on, but the gratitude. How many people here by show of hands, high five, have heard of a gratitude journal? How many people have had, oh, actually pretty high number. Oh, that's impressive. Cindy, once again, I'm impressed. So the gratitude journal, as I said, is the centerpiece of what I talk about. And I mentioned about if you write in it, it empowers you. And the way it's done, in fact, hold on a second, because I want to, this is bugging me. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to unchoose my background. Sorry, just a second. Boom, there we go. Okay, I just want it so you can see it. I had a virtual background going. So here it is, that gratitude guy's daily gratitude journal. And get rid of this. How it's formatted is in the upper left-hand corner. It says gratitude today. There's 2 lines for special occasions. So you can kind of have a diary if you want. There's a daily number right here, the day and the date. Today was Tuesday, December 14th. There's 4 or 5 lines for what you're grateful for. There's a little bottom line here for the highlight of your day. There's a quote. And then on the right side is your gratitude intentions, which is what you're going to be grateful for tomorrow and on in the future, which you can kind of program your brain. So I always like to mention to people too, because there's no doing, it's good for you, it's good for me. There's today's entry by yours truly. I have to set a good example. So very important. So you don't have a gratitude journal, as I said, I'll put it in the chat, but I will tell you this, let's do a little exercise. Let's go back to the paper. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to do a little daily gratitude journal exercise. That is your daily number. I want you to start with this. What's the daily number? The daily number is 1 to 10. 10 is one of the best days of your life and 1 is a not so good day. So I want you to kind of take your temperature right now and decide what your daily number is. And it could be halves. You might be having a pretty good day. Maybe you're a 7.5 or an 8 or something, or you're having a tough day. Nobody's going to see this. Maybe you're a 4 or 5 or something, but whatever that daily number is, write that down and put a circle around it. And again, just kind of monitoring how your mood is, your temperature, for lack of a better word. Okay, and then write 4 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to write 4 things underneath it. So just put down the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and so 1 to 3, I want you to write down at number 1, the number 1 thing you are most grateful for. If you could only pick one thing, put that down at number 1, and then do the same thing for number 2. If you could only pick 2 things, and the same thing for number 3, the third thing. So you're going to have the 3 things you are most grateful for in your life in order at number 1, number 2, and number 3. All right, number 4, what was the highlight of your day yesterday? Might take you a few seconds to think about it, but what was the best thing that happened to you yesterday? It's like 1 o'clock today, so we'll use yesterday. Maybe you had something great happen today, but whatever was the best part of your day, the biggest highlight of your day yesterday or this morning, write that down at number 4. All right. Hopefully we've all got them down there. I always have to gauge when I'm in person. I can see people still writing and try to figure it. It's always a little tougher on Zoom, of course. All right. So now it took you a few minutes to write those down. So here's what I want you to do. Write just to yourself. Nobody else is involved in this exercise. It's you and the piece of paper. Silently reread number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And then I want you to write another daily number at the bottom of number 4. It could be the same number or it could have changed. After reading those 4 things, put another daily number after you put those in your brain and write that daily number. Could be the same, could be different, and put a circle around that. All right, looks like most people are caught up with that. All right, with a high five to the screen, how many people's number from the top number to the bottom number went up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Judy, 8. And that calls for this.
That was easy.
Once again, a good example of how simple something like that can be. That was about a 60-second example. This gratitude journal takes 5 minutes to write in. I've timed it a ton of times, and that's giving your brain 5 minutes to think about everything you're grateful for. And there's a 60-second example of just focusing on 3 things you're grateful for, plus your highlight of your day, and look how that can shift your mood. And it can make such a difference. And there's going to be some days where everything works great. And the days that don't, you can look at that list of memorable events. You can look at the UR card that you have. You can write in your gratitude journal, and maybe you still can't move the needle. In that case, you may just want to get to tomorrow. That may be your best goal, but this can help on a lot of days. And some of the anxiety I coach people, as I've mentioned, the anxiety, the depression after the pandemic, and so many other things. It's been really challenging. And if you can give people tools and different things that can help you to focus on the blessings and the abundance you have, it can make a huge, huge difference. And it's really interesting because, again, there's something about that writing that has it. I had these fraternity brothers that used to call me the Brooker. I was Mr. Motivation. So they call me, they want a little bit of a inspiration from their buddy. And I'd say the other day, they used to call me and I always help them and get them excited. Then I did the gratitude guy. I've been doing this for about 10 years. Now they call me and they go, hey, I need some inspiration. I need some motivation from the Brooker. And I go, have you written in your gratitude journal yet? And they go, no. Bam, I just hit the phone. I just turned it off. I just cut the phone off. And 2 seconds later, they call back. I think we got cut off. I said, no, we didn't. We didn't get cut off. I hung up on you. I'm not going to pedal your bike. I'll be your training wheels, but I'm not going to pedal your bike. You got to do something yourself. I think the good Lord gives you the toolkit, but I think you have to build the house. So it's so important. So speaking of you, what can I do? People ask me all the time, what can I do to get more gratitude in my life? A couple of things. Number one, I just put the link in the chat. I think it should be in there, which is how you get a gratitude journal. There's many of them that are out there. I think it's just as long as you get something, hopefully, hold on, let me see. Yep, there it is. It's in there. And it's available through Amazon, but if you get a spiral notebook, I'm fine with it. And then people ask me all the time, well, I haven't done the journal as consistently as I can. You know what? Start out with one word then. Start out with a sentence. Start out with just a couple of bullet points and build it into where you're writing 5 minutes a day. I said it before, it's better to do less than you hope for than nothing at all. At least get the momentum going. It makes such a big difference. Second thing, get your smartphones out again. And I would like you to take this number down, 206-371-8309, 206-371-8309. That is my cell phone. I would like you to text me the number one thing you're grateful for. I always like to kind of check the audiences and see, because I get some great answers along that. 206-371-8309. Just simply, what are you most grateful for? It's always fun to see how many different people are and the things that they focus on. And I get some amazing answers to that. So thank you for that. And then as far as also connecting with me, you can also get a hold of me at thatgratitudeguy.com or david@thatgratitudeguy.com email. And then also, as long as you have your smartphones out, here's another thing you can do. Every Monday morning, I send out a 60-second video called the Monday Morning Minute. And it is a 60-second video on gratitude with a different subject every week to kind of start your week off on the right note. And if you'd like to get that, here's what you can do. Go to your text and text in the number 22828. That's 5 digits, 22828. For the number, and in the message box, type in gratitude guy, all one word, and just put gratitude guy, all one word, and hit send, and it'll ask you for your email and it'll get you signed up. It goes out to about, I think, 10,000 people now. They get that every Monday morning. So very important. And then I also might mention too, on the, I think actually, you know what, let's do this. Let me wrap up. I'm going to tell you about the speaking and coaching that I do, just to let you know, and then we're going to do sharing gratitude and we're going to wrap up. And so I speak a lot about gratitude. I do a lot of talks. And so I always ask people, if you could just take a moment and think about anybody you know that hires speakers for conventions, for annual meetings, for company functions and so forth. I'm always looking forward to making this talk to different people. It has a big impact. And I also do gratitude coaching. I offer what I call a 60-minute complimentary coaching consultation. And that's where we meet on phone or the Zoom, and I ask you questions and find out a little bit about you and what you're doing and see if we might be a good fit to coach together. I had a young man recently that got a new house, a new girlfriend, and a new job just through coaching, which was really neat. So if you're interested in any of those, David at thatgratitudeguy.com. So I'm going to wrap up with my final, oh, thank you, Cindy. I'm going to wrap up with my final little exercise we're going to do. Grab those smartphones again. And here's what I want you to do, because I think once you get excited about something, it's really important to share gratitude. So grab your phone, and what I'd like you to do is I'll give you 60 seconds on this, and I would like you to text somebody in your life and tell them how grateful you are to have them in your life. And please use the word grateful in the text. And I'll give you 60 seconds, whoever you want, tell them how grateful you are, and please use that word, and I'll get back to you in like 45 seconds or so. Okay, and hopefully you can, if you didn't get that text finished, go ahead and finish that if you will. It's always funny from the junior highs and high schools, they're knocking out about 7 or 8 texts in about 45 seconds. And then I go to the senior centers and they're still working on it. I got to help them here. Let me help you with the numbers here and we'll get this out there. But it's really funny because I've told this to people in person, is that people would come up to my book table afterwards and they show me the text, you know, they sent to their whoever, their significant other. And a guy comes up and shows me his phone one day, and the text he sent out to his, I think it was his wife, and it said, you know, I'm grateful for you too. What do you want? And man, that's pretty hardcore. And then another one brings up and he shows me that text and says, are you sure you sent this to the right person? I'm like, oh man, who are these connections here? But I was at a live audience. Actually, it was in Bothell, ironically enough, at Bothell High School, and there was a performing arts center. And sometimes some people don't want to text, they want to use the telephone, because I call it the 4 T's: text, telephone, tweet, or tell. And so she was using her phone. She was about 10 feet away from me, and I could hear her on the phone. And she's going, you know, hi, honey, I just want to know I want to let you know how grateful, I'm assuming it was her husband, and how grateful I am. And I just really appreciate you. And I just think that, you know, and you're so much a part of my life. I don't know. Some speaker just told me to call you and tell you. No, you're ruining it. It's from you. It's not from me. Gosh. And so I will tell you that gratitude can offer so many things to you. We live in a very, very challenging time. It's been tough this last couple of years, but a lot of times life is tough in general is very, very tough. I offer to you a coping mechanism that is not only healthy, but it's not destructive or deadly like so many other reasons that people turn to drugs and alcohol and all sorts of things that can kill them. Prescription medication took my wife's life. And so I know something about loss in that regard as well. So gratitude is a very healthy coping mechanism. It changed and transformed, and I think saved my life, and do the same for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. That was wonderful. I love when you talk about moving the needle, to be conscious, having activities that you've given us, some great ideas. You know, they call them interrupters, right? So we're in a certain path, we're doing certain things. So, you know, I like to use essential oils because that's an interrupter and it can take you from one mood to another. But I love all of the ideas that you offered us to be able to do that on a daily basis, and even be proactive. Like, we don't have to get in the doldrums to turn things around, right? We can
exactly. There's so many things you can do. And that's why I like several different exercises, because on some days one may not work and another one may work better. But, you know, try some of the different ones, the most memorable events, the you are, that card, and then the little gratitude reminder. And as I said, I highly recommend a gratitude journal, because when you write it, it's the same thing they say about cursive language and cursive writing. It plants it in your brain better. And we're getting to these typewriter type things, which are okay, but there's nothing like a pen or a pencil and writing it down on paper. It really plants it in the brain.
And that's another good one too, to actually do it, you know, with and pen it out, right? Write it out.
Exactly, exactly.
That's beautiful. So, hey, we want to keep this momentum going for a minute here. So what I'd like everybody to do is you're going to have, let me just mention that David has been gracious enough to be our Conversation to Connect guest on Friday. So we're doing it a week early because of the holidays. So right December 17th, Friday, December 17th, noon to 1,